ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। All the respected dignitaries present here and my very dear young friends sitting there, it's a great pleasure meeting you all this morning. At the outset, I am thankful to IMA Indore for giving me this opportunity of meeting you all, and I would like to congratulate Indore Management Association for organizing this very important topic, very important seminar on this important topic of $5 trillion economy, and inviting so many dignitaries for speaking here. In fact, Indore Management Association has been doing it for many years. I am very happy to note that Indore Management Association has got the LMA award for the 12th time, not first or second time, 12th time. I think you are surpassing Ahmedabad Management Association. I have been delivering lectures in Ahmedabad Management Association also, more frequently than Indore Management Association. But anyway, Indore Management Association is coming up very much, and I am very happy that such important seminars being held, and I am sure it will bring about very good results. Coincidentally, it is being organized at a time when all over the air is Swami Vivekananda. Yesterday was the birthday of Swami Vivekananda according to Indian Almanac. And on 12th January, that was the National Youth Day, being the birthday of Swami Vivekananda according to English calendar. I very much believe that India shall achieve $5 trillion economy much earlier than expected. Why? I will like to share an incident. When Swami Vivekananda was alive, he was there in Bellumat. One day he was meditating. After meditation, he told, I have seen. And all his brother disciples were very much astonished. They said, Swamiji, what did you see? Swamiji said, I have seen 500 years of future of India. And they were very eager. What did you see? Swamiji said, I saw in my meditation that India has become great. It has become an economical superpower. In economic prosperity, it has transcended all limits. And it will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. This is what Swamiji saw in his vision. Swami Vivekananda was not an astrologer. He was a visionary. Whatever he said has come true. He said in 1897, within 50 years, India shall become independent without waging a war. Nobody ever dreamt any country could become independent without waging a war. But Swami Vivekananda said, within 50 years, India will become independent. Exactly after 50 years, India became independent without waging a war. Whatever Swamiji has said has come true. So I firmly believe that Swami Vivekananda's vision of India becoming a superpower, economic superpower, India becoming great in every field. India was Jagat Guru. Again it will become Jagat Guru. सोने की चिड़िया कही जाती थी, फिर से भारत सोने की चिड़िया बन के रहेगी। स्वामी विवेकानंद की बात कभी असफल नहीं होगी। It will achieve $5 trillion. I have no doubt about it. but conditions apply. What is the condition? Condition, you must accept the fourth wave of management. I remember Indore Management Association had organized a beautiful seminar, a wonderful seminar at that time. The topic of the seminar was globalization of Indian economics, the 21st century compulsion. That time we were thinking whether we should go for globalization or not. And at that time, I told we must go for globalization. But before we go for globalization of Indian economics, we must have Indianization of global management. And now, 30 years back, I told like that, and you will be surprised to know it is coming true. It is coming true. American companies are now adopting messages of Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita. And that's why Newsweek magazine being brought out from New York, brought out a special article how American companies are now adopting Indian style of management that is based on Vedanta, holistic style of management based on Indian ethos. But they have given a new name. The Newsweek has given a new name, Karma Capitalism. Karma Capitalism, whatever name they give. But this fourth wave is coming all over the world. Fourth wave of management. The first wave of management was the British style of management when Taylor's method of work measurement is known. The second style of management was the American style of management when Peter Drucker became the guru of all. The third style of management was the Japanese style of management when TQM became the need of the hour, total quality management, zero defects. And now slowly the fourth wave of management is coming, not only India, all over the world. And that is, the fourth wave of management is holistic style of management based on Indian ethos. This is the message of Vedanta. And it is Indian ethos which speaks of social capital. You may have lot of profit that is not going to give happiness to the employees or to the customers or to the people at large. In fact, Bhutan has shown the way. We were always talking about economics in terms of GDP, but Bhutan has said no, GNH, gross national happiness. Happiness. And you will be surprised to know, all the countries are now slowly talking about gross national happiness, GNH, apart from GDP. We must have a GDP growth, but along with that, if we do not have GNH, it will not give us result. In fact, you will be surprised to know, happiness industry now has become the 5th largest industry in the world. And it is there that India can enter the supermarket because we have got yoga and meditation. Stress management has become very important all over the world. And the Western models of stress management are not working. You know, what is the Western model? The psychologists say, you know, why stress is coming? Because you do not express your feelings which is there in your subconscious mind. And that is why the stress is coming. So you must express your feelings. My God, if I express my feelings, then I will lose my job. Because my boss was coming out from the house and his wife gave a very good thrashing. He could not tell anything to his wife. He comes here to the office and right and left, he goes on scolding me without any reason, unjustifiably. I want to pay back in the same coin. I know also how to pay back in the same coin. But if I pay back in the same coin, I will lose my job. So I pocket that insult that goes inside my subconscious mind, and that creates stress and that creates strain. So the psychologist says, no, you must express your feelings. But my God, if I express my feelings, I will lose my job. Don't worry, we have got a solution. What is the solution? Go to the market, purchase voodoo dolls, head diaries, punching bags, come back to your house, close the doors and windows of your room, then put that voodoo doll on the table. Now write down the name of your boss or your mother-in-law or your wife or your husband or whomsoever you want to put your stress out. And now 3 types of pins are available. Blue pins are available for injury. Black pins are available for serious injury. And red pins are available for murdering. Just give a red pin and the boss is murdered. And you can have a nice sleep without any tranquilizer because the boss is murdered. Unfortunately, these are not long-term solutions. Because you murdered your boss in your room and you had a nice sleep, but next day the fellow is sitting on the chair, what to do? So these are all not these are all short-term solutions. That is why the whole world is now coming at the feet of Indian style of management, Indian style of stress management, yoga and meditation. That is the only thing that will give you not only IQ, also EQ and also SQ. When SQ comes, when SQ is developed in all the faculty, all the members, all the stakeholders of the company, automatically your social capital is ensured. Dana Zohar, she is a professor in Oxford University. She says, now it has been proved by the modern science, neurologically, physiologically, biologically, psychologically, from every point of view, there is a continuing evidence. There is something called SQ, which is the basis of both IQ and EQ. What is IQ? IQ will tell you how to play the game of life. What is EQ? EQ will tell you how to play the game of life under changed circumstances with changed strategies. And what is SQ? SQ will tell you whether to play the game of life at all or not. What is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? Why we here on this earth? This will be told by SQ. So we must have IQ plus EQ plus SQ. That will give you total success. That will give you social capital, and that will give you the real success, not only in terms of GDP, also in terms of GNH. So here is the wellness industry having $4.2 trillion economy all over the world. It is there that we can easily enter because we have ancient wisdom in Indian culture, Indian philosophy of meditation and yoga, and the whole world now is in need of that because all over the world they are having this one. Now, very limited time is there, so I end with one thing. You may have economy, but that is not going to solve the problem unless until we have social capital, and that will not come till there is injustice, till there is inequality. What is the scenario today? 1% of India's top people are owning 73% of the country's wealth. Now this is widening. Unless until we bridge the gap, we will not be able to succeed. And that's why, how to bridge the gap? This solution was given by Swami Vivekananda in 1893. There is an incident with which I will close. When Swami Vivekananda delivered his historic speech in the World Parliament of Religions, as you know, after that he's remained there in America. He had to remain there for delivering lectures for more than 3 years. At that time, in Chicago, the richest person of the world was John D. Rockefeller, the emperor of petroleum industry, who was passing through a very bad phase. His hair had gone, he had become bald, and he was in depression. At that time, somebody suggested, why don't you go meet an Indian yogi who has come to my friend's house and get his advice? Rockefeller said, what? I to get an advice from a beggar? I will not go. You know, we are all beggars. We live on charity. He did say, I will not go. But one fine morning, Rockefeller came to the place where Swami Vivekananda is staying. He called the bell. The butler opened the door. Swamiji was not in his drawing room, so he entered the study room of Swamiji without being announced. Now, as you know, Swami Vivekananda had tremendous power of concentration. He was very much engrossed in his study. He did not notice Rockefeller coming. So Rockefeller, after some time, he knocked at the table. Swamiji looked up. Rockefeller said, I am Rockefeller. Swamiji asked, what do you want? Now, Rockefeller was not prepared for this type of treatment. Rockefeller means the president of America would get up, and here is the beggar sitting down asking me, what do you want? He was very much annoyed. He said, I don't want anything. Then Swamiji asked, then why have you come? Now he had no solution, he had no reply because he had come without invitation. Then Swamiji said, Rockefeller, I know why you have come. You have come here because you do not have peace of mind. And then Swamiji started narrating many incidents from the life of Rockefeller which no one else knew except Rockefeller. Then he became very much excited. Who has told all this to you? How do you come to know? Then Swamiji smiled and said, do you think somebody should tell me? I can see through your mind as I can see through a glass almirah. Then Rockefeller was very much nonplussed. My God, he has come to know all my secrets. Then Swamiji said, my dear Rockefeller, I'll give you a piece of advice. Remember, you are not the owner of your wealth. You are only custodian of your wealth. Utilize this money for removing the sufferings of millions of people. This is the only way you can get peace of mind. There is no other way by which you can get peace of mind. Remember, you are not the owner of your wealth. You are a custodian of wealth. Custodian of your wealth. Utilize this money for removing the sufferings of millions of people. And Rockefeller was very much unhappy. He left abruptly, as abruptly he had come, in annoyance. But after a few days, again he came. Called the bell. The butler opened the door. He went inside. Swamiji was not in his drawing room, so he went to the study room. Swamiji was fully engrossed. Again he called. Again he knocked. Then Swamiji looked up. Then Rockefeller put a piece of paper on his table in which he had made an announcement of a very huge donation for a public cause. When Swamiji read it, Rockefeller said, now, you must thank me. I have followed your advice. Swamiji said, well, it is for you to thank me. Because by following my advice, you will get peace of mind which cannot be purchased by millions of dollars in the market. Afterwards, as you know, Rockefeller made Rockefeller Foundation in 1913, and he said in his autobiography, there is more to life than only earning riches. We must serve humanity. And he started Rockefeller Foundation. From the Rockefeller Foundation, so many new researches have been done. David Borlaug made a research on wheat, drought-resistant wheat, which saved the millions of people from starvation. It is all because of Rockefeller. Why Rockefeller was made to do that? Because Swami Vivekananda gave the message of trusteeship management. You are not the owner of your wealth. You are a trustee of your wealth. And when Rockefeller followed it, he got peace of mind, and many people got also peace of mind. Not only peace of mind, their sufferings were removed. So this is double फायदे की बात है. डबल फायदा होता है जब कोई दान करता है, कोई धनी व्यक्ति, और ट्रस्टीशिप मैनेजमेंट को फॉलो करता है, सीएसआर को फॉलो करता है, उसको मन में शांति मिलती है. जिसको सेवा करता है उसको तो सेवा होती है, पर जो दान दे रहा है उसको शांति मिलती है जो कोई भी पैसे से खरीदी नहीं जा सकती. ऐसी शांति मिलती है. डबल फायदे की बात है. ये स्वामी विवेकानंद ने डबल फायदे की बात कही है. ये डबल फायदे की बात हमको लेना चाहिए. This only can solve the problems of the world. Not only India, all over the world, the same phenomena. A very minimum percentage of people are holding the maximum of wealth. Here are millions of people starving. Now, they need food. They need money. Give that money to them. Give food to them. They will be saved. And you will get peace of mind. Mental peace you will get, which is most important today. So this is the solution, wonderful solution given by Swami Vivekananda. Seva Yoga, the service to humanity through this trusteeship management, through this CSR. If we have to go for $5 trillion economy, remember, you will have to follow this holistic style of management, Indian style of management. The fourth way of management we have to follow, and that gives the real kernel of globalization. They are talking of globalization now. Only on economic front it has come to a certain extent. We talked about globalization thousands of years ago. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is our family. And Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. We said at that time, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. So, this holistic style of management based on Indian ethos, it is that which is going to give you the real success, which will be not only bringing economical development, which will not be only giving money, but also giving happiness, not only to you, but also to others. Now about the Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. If we really want this social capital, in that case, we will have to take up this message of Bhagavad Gita. That is, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. Dexterity in action. Buddhi yukto jahatiha. Ubhe sukrita duskrite. Tasmat yogaya yujasva. Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. So this Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam will come. This dexterity in action will come when we follow this yoga. And now we are talking about what type of leadership will give us success. What type of leadership will lead us to $5 trillion economy? Robert Greenleaf started an institute called Servant Leadership. He wrote a book called Servant Leadership in 1976. At present, all the companies, not only in America, all over the world, are now trying to adopt servant leadership. But do you know who practiced this servant leadership first? Thousands of years back, it is Sri Krishna who became servant leader, and he became a charioteer of Arjuna, and he showed what is servant leadership. And more than 100 years back, Swami Vivekananda talked about it, this servant leadership. He says, who can become a leader? सिरदार वही सरदार. सरदार कौन बन सकता है? पगड़ी बनने से सरदार नहीं बनता है. पगड़ी पहने हुए सरदार जी भी हैं, पर नहीं. सरदार का मीनिंग उनका था लीडर. हु कैन बी ए ट्रू लीडर? सिरदार, जो सिर दे सकता है वही सरदार बन सकता है. सिर देने का मतलब है sacrificing your ego, sacrificing your selfishness. A servant leader leads by example, leads by not by precept, but by example. And Swami Vivekananda not only talked about servant leadership, he practiced servant leadership. When he came back from America to India, whatever small wealth he had got, he gave to his brother disciple, and he did not become the first president of Ramakrishna Math or Ramakrishna Mission. He made his brother disciple Swami Brahmananda the first president of Ramakrishna Math. He did not take up any power position. He was just sacrificing, leading by example. And with the result, when Swami Vivekananda died, when he gave up his body on 4th July 1902, at the age of 39 years, there were 5 centers of Ramakrishna Math and Mission, 4 in India, 1 abroad. Today, there are 230 branch centers of Ramakrishna Math and Mission spread all over the world. 50 abroad, rest in India. And 1,000 centers non-affiliated. And so many 14 indoor hospitals, 90 outdoor dispensaries, 60 mobile vans, rural and tribal development project, 6,000 education institutions where 6 lakh students are studying. All these expansion has taken place because the leader, Swami Vivekananda, he started an organization not in his own name, in the name of his Guru Sri Ramakrishna. And he did not become the first president. He practiced this servant leadership. Today, if we want to achieve this $5 trillion economy, our leaders will have to adopt servant leadership, leading by example, leading not by precept, by sacrificing ego, by sacrificing selfishness. It is they who will be able to bring out this social capital out of their own company, all the stakeholders. And then we take up this message of Vedanta. What is Vedanta? Vedanta, 2 basic fundamental principles. Number 1, divinity of the soul. And second, solidarity of the whole universe. Divinity of the soul. Inside each and every human being, there is a center of consciousness which is having infinite power. It is about that power that Swami Vivekananda pointed out in the World Parliament of Religions when he declared the shloka when he recited the shloka from the Shveta Upanishad. Shruvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tastuhu Vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasa parastat tameva viditvat mrityameti nanya pantha viditayanaya. I have found the Ancient One is beyond all miseries. By knowing Him alone, you should be free from all miseries. And then Swami Vivekananda told American people, my dear sisters and brothers of America, let me call you by this sweet name. What is that? Amritasya Putra. Ye, the children of immortal bliss, holy and perfect beings. Ye, divinities are not sinners. It is a sin to call a man so. It is a standing label on human nature. Come up, O loins, and shake off the delusion that you are sheep. Your soul's immortal, spirit's free, blessed and eternal. You are not matter, you are not bodies. Matter is the servant, not he the servant of matter. This is how he removed the tension from the minds of the American people at that time. He said, you are divine, you are divine, you are divine. That is the only message that he gave. And one day an American lady says, Swami, you are trying to hypnotize us, always telling you are divine, you are divine, you are divine. Swamiji immediately replied, Madam, I am not trying to hypnotize you. I am trying to de-hypnotize you. Always telling, I am a sinner, I am a sinner, I am a sinner. You have been hypnotized. I am trying to de-hypnotize you because you are divine. That is the first truth. You are divine. That is the second truth. You are divine. That is the third truth. You are divine. That is the last truth. There is no truth greater than this. You are divine. Ultimately, inside every human being, there is a center of consciousness. And what follows? Inside every human being, there is a center of consciousness. How do I react with my boss? How do I behave with my wife? How do I behave with my husband? How do I behave with my colleague? Because inside everybody, there is that divine. Then in that case, what comes? That is, then all the relationships become very harmonious. All the relations become very sweet. And that is how the social capital will automatically come when we try to practice this Vedanta in everyday life. That is the fourth of management, the Indian style of management. I'm extremely thankful to you, all of you, for the Indore Management Association, for giving me this opportunity of meeting you all. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you very much.